Hello folks, hopefully you're all doing well. Hope you are doing well, hope you had a good weekend. It is Saturday where I am, but where you are in the future it is Monday. You are 5 days away from Exile Fest. It's going to be an amazing event on Saturday the 21st of June here in Liverpool at a place called Just Play Games. An amazing space. We've got all of the upstairs space booked out for this event. It is going to be a Grimdark Future one-page rules tournament with Warhammer 40,000 themed models, so make sure you come in, you have a good time. If you want to see a really cool tournament of 16 guys throwing dice and having fun, it's going to be awesome. Head on down and give it a little look. I'm going to be there. I'm not playing in the event. I'm hosting it. I'm walking around. I'm saying hello to everybody. I'll be there all day, having fun and making new friends, which is what you should be doing. You don't have to turn up with an army. You can just turn up on the day for some beverages, to chill out, have some fun, talk to me, talk to people that you may have met on the Discord. You never know, right? Or just meet some new friends. That is the main thing. It is all about positive mental health, and it's going to be an awesome, awesome day. After that, we're going to go and freshen up, and then we're going to go for a night out with a bunch of hobby lads and girls. We're going to go out, have some fun, listen to some music, and drink copious amounts of beer, and have a good chin wag, set the world to rights, that kind of thing. If that sounds like your kind of good time, then make sure you email me at northernexileevents@gmail.com with your name and contact number if you're feeling kind, because it means I can get a good sense of the numbers, but you don't have to do that to turn up. You can just turn up on the day and have a good time. You won't be kicked out because you didn't send your pal North an email, alright? All good. Alright, I can't wait for this. It's going to be awesome. The closer we get to it, the more excited I get. So, I can't wait. It's going to be brilliant, and I'll see you on Saturday. Alright, moving on to our hobby nightmares. Let's jump in, shall we, with our first one, and it is from Andy. How's it going, man? And he says, "Hi there, North. I've got a quick one, if you can squeeze it in." That's what she said. "So I started my hobby journey in the early noughties and was instantly in love with the grim dark setting of Warhammer 40,000. So much so that I'd wanted to one day work in the store and be around like-minded people. Oh, my sweet summer child. I'm from the northeast in Teesside, and this was the nearest Games Workshop. The first manager who sat me down for that first paint session was brilliant, but he was soon moving on to run another store in another area. The next manager was the polar opposite, and his attitude was that a bit of an odd condescending man-child. Alright. Anything I'd come out with was met with, 'That's a stupid idea, it'll never happen.' Okay, are you talking about, like, lore and stuff? This is something I've never gotten. Like, any manager should be stoking the flames of your imagination. They should be going in there and absolutely stoking the flames of your, oh my god, I want to do this. And they go, dude, that's amazing. Even if inwardly they're thinking, that's a silly idea. Like, the amount of stupid hobby ideas I've been pitched over the years in stores. And because you're working there, you go, great idea, dude. What are you going to use to make that? Why didn't you use this colour? Why didn't you use this model? Right? That kind of a thing. It's a business, not a youth club. Anyway. The first, and by the way, I say that to customers all the time who come on the channel. Yeah, we're under no obligation to, like, be overly, give you freebies and stuff. It's a business, not a charity, not a youth club. But the same goes the other way around as well. Okay? The managers should be making decisions and doing things that give you a better time in the hobby. Because it's a business to him, or her. The first observation I had was, wouldn't it be cool if there was a tabletop version of Star Wars? Like have Stormtroopers versus Rebels, and have all the main characters you could add to your army. He just looked at me and gave me the classic response, "That's a stupid idea, it'll never happen." Fast forward a few decades later, and Star Wars Legion gets released. The exact thing I'd imagined all those years ago. Another time I was setting up for a game. I used to play Ultramarines, and I'd painted one tactical marine in gold. I was about 12 or 13, so random bits like this just made its way into my army. He took one look at it and said, "That thing is an eyesore, get it off my table." Dude. Okay, when I first started Hobby Nightmares, lads and ladies, there were a few Hobby Nightmares that people would say to me, "Oh, are you sure that happened?" As somebody who's worked in hobby stores, let me tell you, this kind of thing did happen. Alright? I've said it before and I'll say it again. The amount of annoyed parents, I had to calm down at Games Workshop because my manager had made their kids' day a misery, right? Made them cry, he'd insulted their models, but he did it in a way where he had plausible deniability. He'd never shout at them, he'd never bully them, but he'd say things like this, right? That's an eyesore, get it off my table. And that kind of thing. I can totally imagine a Games Workshop manager saying verbatim that, right? If he's a bad one. Ay. I stuck at it for a while before leaving the hobby, mainly because this manager, and a lot of other people I like to talk to about it, remember him too, and I've had similar experiences, so they all ended up melting away in the end. The time came in my mid to late 20s when I fulfilled that childhood dream though. I got that job in the same shop that sparked that initial love for the hobby. Sadly, I'd last less than 3 months. The manager at the time was a pretty sound guy, and I still bump into him on occasion. He'd always take a genuine interest in what project you were working on. My sales skills weren't to the company's liking though. Expand on that. I don't think you do, please do. Until that point, I'd been working a steady retail job. Somebody comes in and wants a specific thing, so you just sell it to them. Or, if you don't have it, recommend the nearest thing to it. Yeah. So a woman brings her young son into the store and says she's looking for modern day soldiers to build and paint. I said it's not something we sold, but took him over to the 40k section and showed them a box of Cadian shock troops, saying they're kinda like modern soldiers, but they shoot lasers instead of bullets. I got pulled to one side and was reminded to keep the sales conversation open. The lad ended up buying some fantasy orcs or something in the end, but my old habit of sell what they want was really hard to shake. The other thing that made me quit was the regulars who'd come in and paint. I try and follow their conversations, but having been out of the hobby for a number of years, my knowledge on current releases and lore was limited at best. Well, to be honest, man, I'm going to be honest with you here, Andy. Number one, your sales pitch is fine. Okay? They asked you for something and you sold them that thing. You tried to sell them that thing, you know? Maybe you were trying to push those Cadians a bit too hard, and that's why your manager said, hey man, you know, just if he wants the orcs, sell him the orcs, kind of thing, that kind of thing. But on the flip side, I have to say, Andy, if you're working in a Games Workshop store, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, it's kind of your responsibility to know the rules and to know the background lore. Okay? I am fully aware that Games Workshop don't give a rat's backside whether you know the lore or the rules, because that's not what's important to them. What's important to them is how you sell models, which is why your manager's working on it with you. But I still think it's your responsibility, and the regulars will think it's your responsibility to know the lore and know the rules. Otherwise, you may as well go work in the Apple store. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, they were talking about which traitor Primarch would return, and they said the rumour was it was somebody who had to redeem themselves. Foolishly, I chimed in with, what about Magnus? Didn't he want to redeem himself? Like a single organism, they slowly looked up at me like I'd crushed into their house at Christmas morning and peed on their tree and just pointed at the shelf where he was already on sale. I get it. I should have known what we had on the shelves. This is kind of cringe. I'm kind of with them, dude. Sorry, Andy, mate. You seem like a really nice bloke, but like, Magnus coming back was such a big deal. We worked for the company at the same time, by the way, Andy. We worked for the company at the same time. So when Magnus came back, it was such a huge deal. You know, for a staffer to not know that Magnus is on the shelf is, yeah. I'd probably do the same to you, man. I wouldn't be rude, but I'd just point to the you know, he's there. What are you talking about? Crazy? Are you crazy, dude? Anyway, I get it. I should have known what we had on the shelves, but this group of people, tended to look down on everyone else. Like there was a cosplay event happening in the shopping centre next door, and one remarked it'd be just full of fat Harley Quinns. This coming from an overweight neckbeard, high on glue fumes. There's probably a few more nightmares, but these are the ones that have stuck with me. I still enjoy the hobby, so it hasn't dampened my spirits. Good, man, good. Thanks for taking the time to hear my story out. Many thanks, Andy. Good. No, mate, you're absolutely... You should be in the hobby. Lovely stuff. Right, it is Saturday, so I have a Pepsi Max with a little bit of vodka in it, so... Ooh. Marvellous. I might have another sip of that, because, very nice. Do you know what? I'm not sure whether it's nice enough yet. You know, I think it's... Is the ice melted in? I'm going to have another sip just to check. Wonderful. I just make really good drinks. Alright. If any of you at Exile Fest are lucky enough to come to Casa North, and some of you may be, some of you may get that chance, right? Yeah, I'm just saying. You may get to sample some of my punch. Oh, dude, it'll knock your socks off. I'm telling you. I will be, like, if I meet anybody at Exile Fest who's cool and chill, yeah, you may get an invite back to the house so we can have some few drinks before we go out. Maybe. We'll see. If my missus is feeling really tired, though, maybe not. Maybe I'll just stay in town with you. We'll see. Let's jump into our next one from Gargant. Awesome. Whenever somebody says Gargant, I always think of, like, Final Fantasy 9, because there was an enemy on there that was a Gargant, and it was super annoying. Anyway, moving on. Hi, North. You can call me Gargant. Thank you. I've been checking out your content all the way from France. Oh, thank you. Sorry. It's a really good joke about France from Al Morin. He says, you know, the French call themselves La France or the France. As if we, you know, get it confused with some other kind of France. Like Courageous France or turning up in time to a fucking battle France. You know. Anyway, moving on. I've been checking out your content all the way from France. My painting sessions have been filled with your Hobby Nightmares series. Thank you very much, man. And this inspired me to contact you. This isn't so much of a hobby nightmare as much as a character analysis of myself. I would love your advice on a certain issue I've encountered, which is intertwined with the hobby quite heavily. I hope you enjoy, and this isn't so horribly written that I'll start hearing foreign profanities not hurled at my people since the 100 Years' War. Well, you know, you technically won that war, so I'll let you off. I think it was the last one you won, wasn't it? Ugh, never mind. I'm 25, and this might seem like bragging compared to... A Frenchman bragging? Oh, don't be silly. I'm 25, and this might seem like bragging compared to a few stories I've heard on Hobby Nightmares, but it's the truth. My life is going great. Get in there, Gargant. Come on, son. Brilliant. Everybody on your feet. On your feet. Come on. Not if you're driving. If you're driving, sit back down. Anyone else on your feet? Give this young man a round of applause. I'm taking the piss. I'm half taking the piss. You know what? I'm really glad your life's going well, man. There's so many people who write in going, you know, I need help, I need this, I need that. You've just written in and gone, do you know what? I'm great. Look at the state of me. Ladies, back away. Back away. Alright? Anyway. I'm young, I work out, I have a well-paying job. Dude, if it's like 9 inches or above, I'm closing this email, if this is the next line. I have a great relationship with my family. I have an amazing girlfriend whom I live in Paris with, and whom I have been with for nearly 7 years. Guys, she is so hot. I can't, fuck off. I can't explain for the life of me how I did that. I can. You just listed them. You just listed them. You gave me everything but your dick size, dude. You're young, you work out, you have a well-paying job, you have a great relationship with your family, you have dude, yeah, that's why. Take some... Listen, sometimes, I know I'm taking the piss, but if you're working hard at your life and things are going well, bask in that. Don't be arrogant about it. You're not being arrogant, you're just listing things, right? But bask in it. Say, yeah, dude, like, she's with me because I'm fucking awesome. Like, that's why she's with me, alright? That's what you should do. You're awesome, Gargant. That's why she's with you. Carry on. Anyway. Lastly, I love Warhammer. Well, that's good. I mean, we're here for that, aren't we? It's been my passion ever since the Assault on Blackreach box set. Nowadays, I'm primarily an Age of Sigmar player. Well, you lost a lot of people there. Everyone was on your side then. Now the gantries are clearing out. I've seen enough. Mainly playing Gargants. Hence my nickname for this story. My girlfriend even got into it, painting some Seraphon lizardmen. I even worked as a cover manager part-time for 3 different stores during my student years. Some of the most eye-opening and positive experiences I've ever had. However, there is one glaring issue. one missing gear that I feel might send this well-oiled machine crumbling to pieces in coming years. I have no friends. I mean, none. For as long as I can remember, I have had little to no one in my life outside of my family that I could share stories with, play with, eat a kebab after a night on the town with, anything like that. Frenchmen do that? I can't remember if I've ever had a best friend, and I'm sure I never was anybody's best friend. It got so bad that, from 6th grade, that was literally my nickname in school. Pas d'amis, meaning no friends. They didn't even get creative with it. Like, how am I supposed to turn this around years later and make it a cool gamer tag or something? Yeah, that's true, that's true. Yeah. Alright, let me take another sip of my drink. Okay. I'm sorry if I butchered that French pronunciation there. Pas d'amis. Yeah, is it? Yeah? I don't have a French accent, so I can't pull it off. As you can imagine, I was a very bitter and resentful teenager as a result. I had good grades in class, so I always felt like the world was against me by default out of jealousy or stupidity. This was only partially true. I was also a bit of a weird kid, and I wasn't even that nice to make up for it. Something about always being told without nuance that I was special. When it came to high school, I never went out for drinks, because I wasn't invited. I've never been drunk in my life. I took a break from the Warhammer in 9th grade, which you might think would have helped me socialise a bit, but it didn't. The opposite, man. That's the opposite. Yeah, Warhammer... This is a big misnomer about Warhammer that people don't really get, right? Warhammer isn't a game for a recluse. If you're a guy who sits in the basement and like, doesn't go out, Warhammer ain't for you, dude. Right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't get into it, because you should. Okay? But if you're sitting there not doing something social, right? If you don't have any friends, you're not doing Warhammer properly. Warhammer will force friends upon you. Warhammer will actually skull drag you and say, friends. Warhammer friend, right? And they're all, yeah, they're everywhere, man. By the way, football segue. All of you now need to look on YouTube, right? Jamie Vardy, Danish friends. It's hilarious. So these two football teams are lining up to go onto the pitch, right? And they're all like getting like really in the zone. Just like getting ready to get our head out there in the Premier League. And Jamie Vardy, who's an English football player, is standing there. And he notices one of the guys in his team who's Danish. Notices our guy on the other team who's also Danish. And they go, oh, hi, how's it going, man? And they shake hands. And it all goes quiet. And then Jamie Vardy goes, ooh, Danish friends. And all the lads around and go, ooh, Danish friends. If you want to know like what British humour is like, British lad humour, that's it, right? It's so good. Like it's just all the footballers like, ooh, Danish friends. Let's all shake hands. Oh. It's like Gargant's listening to this, going, why is that funny? Like, I don't understand. It's British, man. It's British humour. Anyway, all I ended up with was that. For at least the last 4 years of my teenage years, I had literally nothing going for me. No sports, no hobbies, no social life. It was only when I started working out and reading philosophy during my postgraduate years that I managed to turn my life around quite a lot. I met my girlfriend, I started Warhammer again, and learned new skills. I essentially taught myself, through cultivating my mind and building my body, how to be a better man, basically. I was finally happy. Hell, I'm happy right now. Everything got better, except the no friends thing. Yeah, do you know why this has happened, dude? Okay? So you've elected to solve your problem of being unhappy by working on yourself first. What you've done is you want to build a house that is your life. You put in really solid foundations. You've worked out, you've done a lot of reading, you've worked on yourself, you've maybe done a bit of therapy, you've gotten yourself onto a really stable footing. Stable enough that some Warhammer playing hottie wants to be with you. That's a really good sign. That's a very good sign, right? So you are on the right path. You are now standing on a really solid piece of foundations. You could build a really nice house on this, is what I'm saying, right? So stop panicking for now. But I think what you've done is you finished high school, finished college, and you've elected to work on yourself. That hasn't given you a lot of time to make friends, because you've been absolutely concentrating on being a better man, and you're succeeding at that, right? As a consequence of you being a better man, you've now gotten a girlfriend. Again, yes, a natural consequence of what you're doing, okay? Thing is, I'm going to be honest with you here, and a lot of people will disagree with me. I don't care. Girlfriends are easier to get when you're successful than friends. Right? If your life's going well, girlfriends are easier to get than friends. Okay? Now, essentially, what a male friend is a man who elects to be around you because he wants to, not because he wants to have sex with you, for the most part, right? Some women aren't like that. Some women will be around you because they find you attractive. Well, your friends don't find you attractive. At least most of them don't, right? They're electing to be around you because they think you're a cool guy. That, if you're a good-looking guy who's doing well in life, it's much harder to get friends than girlfriends. It really is. Like, they almost swap places, all right? If you're a normal dude, getting a girl is either just as hard as new friends or harder than getting new friends. But like, as soon as you become successful and you're good looking, you're doing well for yourself, those two things switch places, in my mind, right? Anyway. Don't get me wrong, he says. People at my sports group tend to like me well enough. I enjoy spending time with them, and I've never been diagnosed with anything that could hamper socializing. I get along great with my girlfriend for sure, but I'm not sure it's healthy to be calling her my best friend. It isn't, you're right. She's got friends of her own, of course. I'm way better and more normal in a good way than I used to be. I thought getting back into the hobby might help with that. Many people come into the hobby specifically because it helps them socialise, make friends, and have a good time. There have been dudes that I've been playing Warhammer with for years. We always have a great time together. So you have friends. We laugh at the ridiculous things happening on the board, our skill level being very comparable, so every loss or win feels earned. We play until round 5 and shake hands every time, with genuine smiles on our faces at the end. I have played hundreds of games with plenty of dudes, but half of them being what you would call neckbeards, quote unquote, even though they were always very pleasant people. Even still, after years and years, I've never gotten from anybody, or anyone else for that matter, a text saying, hey, do you want to hang out? Yeah, okay, alright, Gargant, that's because men don't do that, okay? Nearly every man friend I have is a friend that we've tolerated each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you've gone out, if you're in university, you're cooped up together, so you go out of habit, right? And then you get to know each other, and you get to know each other's quirks, and you become really close, right? Right? That's what men do. Men don't text each other saying, hey, do you want to, like, hang out? Like, that's not what we do, right? In general. We should do, and every time you do that, everyone says yes. Trust me, I've started doing it. I've stopped going, oh, do you know what? I you know, whatever. I'm going to ask people if they want to go for a drink. Every time I've asked a dude, hey, do you want to go grab a pint? And they go, yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Right? And they're always shocked that I asked. They're always like, yeah, it's kind of weird that you asked me to go for a pint. What, are we on a date? What, are you gay? Like, no. Dude. Like, I just want to have a pint with a man and talk about pies and cars and boobs without people looking at me like I'm weird or crazy or something, right? You know, that's just what men do. We sit there and, you know, talk about non-PC things for hours on end over copious amounts of alcohol. Yeah, but men don't text each other saying, hey, do you want to hang out? In general, right? Now, you should do, absolutely, because it solves a load of problems. Because men just go, yep, of course I do. Does the Pope shit in the woods? Yes, I do want to have a beer. I've literally never had that. Not in Warhammer, not ever. I'm always the one making the first step. It's such a weird problem to have. Dude, I have it too. This means that aside from my family and girlfriend, I occasionally feel very transparent, lonely, and, worst of all for me, forgettable. It feels like everybody I interact with has a network of lifelong friends, and that it's just too late for me, maybe. It would be very easy for me to cope by saying that I already have everything. There are plenty of people who would kill to have loving parents, 3 of their 4 grandparents, stability, physical and mental health, a long-term relationship, a substantial hobby budget, a roof over one's head, so on and so forth. I almost feel petty talking about this issue at this point. Why would everything minus that one thing matter? Except I feel like it's an issue that I have to deal with before it's too late. It's been long overdue, and I feel like it's just going to get more and more unhealthy as I grow older, marry my girlfriend, and eventually even have kids. How can I look my kids in the eye when they come back from school whimpering, asking me how to make friends? If I can't show them that, then what else can't I show them? I really don't have to end up in such a humiliating and pathetic situation. With that said, what would you suggest? Should I keep trying and hope for the best? Should I try something new? Cheers, North. Have a great day. Sincerely, Gargant. Well, thank you, Gargant. That's awesome, man. First things first, get on that channel tunnel, my friend, and come to Exile Fest. I'll be your friend. Come to Exile Fest. I'll buy you a pint. Alright? Bring your missus with you. Just bring them all. It'll be fine. Come and have some fun. Secondly, this is really difficult because this is kind of like talking to... In terms of your problem, this is kind of like talking to myself. Okay? It's weird. It is kind of like talking to myself. So, I am also always the one who reaches out to other people. Most of my friends who know each other through me. Right? The problem is that I have these friends, and it doesn't look like you do. When you reach out to people because you say that you do they not say, yes, let's go grab a pint? Or yes, let's go do something? Okay? There's a difference between asking people to go for a pint and then they say yes, and then saying you don't have any friends. Because obviously you do. You might be what I call the social glue. Okay? My therapist termed me as that, right? Whenever I would discuss my friends, he'd say, all your friends know each other through you. And that's why you never get asked out. Because you're the guy who asks people out. You're the guy who says, right, we're going out, lads, come on. Right? You're the leader in that situation. So if the first thing you should do, Gargant, is step back and maybe see, are you the leader in that situation? Are you the one people look to get a party together or get a night out together? That might be you before you go anywhere else, okay? If that's not you, and you invite people out and then you go out and then things don't work out, right? Okay? That is something that just happens normally, okay? Men also, as I just said, don't tend to invite each other out. You meet friends through your hobby and your passions. The thing is, though, dude, you have just told me that you have a really good time in the hobby with these dudes, right? Sorry. You told me that you have a really good time in the hobby with these dudes. So, I think it's time for a bit of honesty here, my friend. I think it's time to say, listen, I'm looking to make friends. Do you want to go for a pint after the game? You know? Get the WhatsApp together. Go in the WhatsApp and say, listen, guys, feeling a bit down, need some friends to hang out with. Do any of you guys want to go for a pint? Want to go for a drink? Or whatever, right? You will get 5 or 6 people from that hobby group. If it's a hobby group of 10 to 15 people going, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. Right? Okay. Keep trying. It's a very brave thing to do. It's a weirdly brave thing to do. It's to get out there and make sure that you're making friends. Or that you're putting yourself on the batter's mound to bat that ball, to make some friends. Okay? But you've just told me you've got all the building blocks in place. You've got a really good hobby crew that you speak to a lot. What I think you have a lot of acquaintances, Gargant, not friends. Do you know what I'm saying? You have a lot of people who are acquaintances. You have a lot of people who you do things with. But you don't have a ride or die dude. You've got no friends who, say if my car broke down, I'd call Steady. He's one of my best friends. I'd call him. Like, Steady, car's broken down. Come and help me out, dude. And Steady would go, yeah, on my way. Doesn't matter where I am in the UK. He'd get in the car, come and drive, pick me up, or whatever, right? If it's near Liverpool, he'd probably say there's no one in Liverpool who can get you. Do you know what I mean? But if I'm anywhere around the northeast where he lives, he's in the car, he's coming to pick me up, right? And vice versa, by the way, right? Those are your best friends. What I think you don't have an inner circle. All right, I've got an inner circle, a brain trust. By the way, and it's okay to promote or demote people from the brain trust, from the inner circle. I've done it before. I've fallen out of love, quote unquote, with a best friend or two over the years, and I've deleted them from the inner circle in my mind. You are no longer ride or die. If something happens to me, I'm no longer going to be calling you as my first port of call, right? I think what you're describing here, Gargant, you have friends, okay? But you don't have friends by your definition of the word. You have acquaintances. You have a lot of people that you play 40k with. Dude, I have acquaintances. I've got dozens of acquaintances that I see and I say hello, or we're on Discord, or whatever, right? But in terms of true friends, I think I've got two. Alright, so Gargant, I have 2, you have 0. That's not a lot of numbers. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not a lot. You're not as far behind the 8 ball as I think you are. Okay? You have people that you know. You have people who like you. Gargant is a thing. If you asked any of those dudes at your hobby store, what's Gargant like, what would they say? And if in your mind you're thinking most of them will probably say I'm okay, dude, you have acquaintances, you have friends. Do you have best friends? No. Do you have brothers from different mothers? No. But you do have friends, is what I'm saying, right? I think you're being way too harsh on yourself, because by my definition, from your own admission, you actually have dozens of friends here. You play hobby with them all the time, right? They all know who you are. They all know your name. And they all know you're a decent bloke. They're your friends. I'm serious. They're your friends. Life is not as bad as you think it is, my man. Alright? You don't have anybody in the inner circle. And you only get people in your inner circle by going to those people who are just friends and inviting them for a drink. Inviting them to do something away from Warhammer, right? And being honest about your intentions. Dude, I'm looking for a friend. Right? I'm auditioning bros, you know? I'm looking for a friend. Most of those dudes would go, oh shit, dude, I'll go and have a glass of wine with you. I'll go and have a pipe with you, no problem, right? Dude, I'd do that now. Do you know what I'd do? I'd kill to have a friend of mine say to me, hey, North, do you want to go grab a pint? Do you know what's really weird about my life? It's like a weird juxtaposition because I've got a lot of people online. I'm very lucky to have a lot of people online who would, like, travel across the world to have a pint with me, which is what's happening at Exile Fest. There are a few of them are, which is amazing. That's awesome, right? But my actual friends, not one of them texts me or calls me and says, hey, North, do you want to go grab a pint? Not one. Right? Not one. Because I'm not special to them. I'm just North. I'm always here. Alright? It's always me going out of my way to make sure everybody else comes out and has a beer. I'm the social glue. And it sucks being that person. That's what I think you are, Gargant, right? Nobody ever asks North for a drink. Ever. I'm serious. And how weird is that? I've got a YouTube channel where a lot of people, let's say a couple of hundred people out of the 20-odd thousand who were subscribed, would go, I'd love to go for a pint with North. I'd pay for all the drinks, right? But yeah, I never ask for a pint from my actual friends. Just saying. You're not the only one, man. You're not the only one. Alright? It's always me. Getting out there, getting people out. Okay? I think you might be low-key the social glue of your friend group. Being honest. But hey, that's where we are. Anyway, I love you a long time. Hopefully that situation, that advice, did you some good. Come to Exile Fest. We'll be friends together. We'll form an orderly queue. We'll all be friends. I love you all a long time. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more 40k Advantage. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Have a good one. Bye now.